So bro, this video is a direct continuation of the previous one, so I assume you watched that one before you clicked here, but let's do a quick recap anyway. So in the previous video we discussed a formula that lets you generate unlimited energy. In order for your brain to give you energy, you need to make yourself slightly uncomfortable. It is achieved by creating certain conditions that prevent you from doing something that your brain sees as desirable. For instance, eating sugar, eating junk food, having sex or fapping, taking hot showers, and so on. Informational hunger and hard physical exercises are also a big help in making yourself a little bit uncomfortable. Only after you created these conditions and made yourself uncomfortable, you need to create a goal for yourself, and then understand how this goal leads to more DSF. DSF stands for dominance, sex, and food. 3 best things according to your lizard brain. And only when you did those things, your brain will start giving you a lot of energy to improve your living conditions. But there is one problem. You must have a subjective high rank in order for it to work. If you have a low rank, then your own brain will not let you to take good things, even if they will appear. That's what happens to low-ranking monkeys in Monkey Tribe. When a low-ranking monkey sees a banana, it doesn't take it for itself, it takes it for its leader, for the high-ranking monkey. Because otherwise, the high-ranking monkey will take the banana anyway, by force, and hurt the little monkey. That's why when you have a low rank, your brain literally releases certain hormones that make you want to be as small as possible, so that people don't see you, so that you don't try to improve your life, take new things. Basically, high rank means you want something and you take it. Low rank means you want something and you wait for others to let you take it. That's why you need to achieve a subjective high ranking state. Now that's where your brain biology comes into play. You probably know that there are different regions of your brain. The regions we need to understand are neocortex and the so-called lizard brain. Neocortex is the newest, evolutionary-wise, part of the brain. It evolved fairly recently and it is responsible for your personality. Whatever you see as you is actually neocortex. Now there is also the lizard brain. The lizard brain is the oldest part of the brain and it is responsible for instinctive behaviors. This is the animal side of your brain. If you literally take a human and surgically remove neocortex, it will still live as an animal. And now what you need to understand is that you can only consciously control your neocortex. So you cannot consciously tell your brain which rank you are. It reads it automatically based on your behavior, social behavior to be exact. So what you can do and need to do is that you need to take actions that show high rank. And through that, your brain will read it and release the necessary hormones so that your whole system works as you want it to work. The hardest part of this whole thing is noticing the actions you do that lead you to lose your subjective rank. The second hardest part is consciously acting differently. So I'll repeat it a little bit differently so that you understand. You need to notice the behaviors that lower your social rank, your subjective social rank, and then consciously decide to do the different action. It doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen just because you know that you need to. It happens through conscious realization that you're doing something wrong and mechanical action that changes the behavior to something different. Both of those things are extremely necessary for raising your rank. Now you might ask, what are those actions? What are those things I need to avoid doing? As a general rule, any action of submission to another human is an act that lowers your rank. Submission basically means doing something when you don't want to do it. Doing something because somebody else asked you to do it. For instance, your mom is asking you to do the dishes, and you say, no, I don't want to do the dishes, but end up doing it anyway. This is the action that lowers your rank. Now, the way you deal with it is up to you to decide. I'm just giving you the information. Another thing that lowers your rank is acting in the best interest of another human being with disregard towards your own interest. That's basically what the previous thing is, just worded a little bit differently. And also, sometimes, not always, but doing something for someone when they do nothing for you also can lower your rank. It actually can be a double-edged sword, because charity actually increases your rank. When you are doing something for someone from abundance, for instance, you have too much food and you're giving your food away, that actually increases your rank, because it shows that you can provide for other people voluntarily, and they are not forcing you to do so. But if somebody comes up to you and tells you, give me all your food, then obviously it lowers your rank. Mechanically, the action is the same, but how your brain processes it is different. The same goes for things that actually increase your rank. These things may look like people submitting to you, but objectively it may not be like that. For instance, when a taxi driver opens a door for you, your brain sees it as a signal that you are high ranking because you had the ability to do it yourself, but other people do it for you, which means you must be really cool or something. Yes, with your neocortex you know that objectively you just paid that driver and he does it for money, but subjectively your lizard brain processes it as if you have a high rank. Another example is when a waiter serves you at a restaurant. Just think about how it looks from your lizard brain's perspective. You literally did nothing, and people are giving you food, bringing it to you themselves. That definitely raises your subjective rank. Another good example is getting a massage. Again, you do nothing and another person makes you feel good. Huge boost to rank. Now, that's the very reason why a woman can either completely destroy a man or make him unstoppable. If a woman always does something for a man, even small things, she raises his subjective rank in society. He becomes more driven to work harder and starts getting better results. And if she's always bitching about something and demanding stuff from you, and you actually fall for it instead of leaving her, you help her to get higher rank, and at the same time you lower your own rank. Now, if you do something for your woman, then it can be read by your brain as both something high rank and low rank. As we talked about earlier, it highly depends on the context. If she manipulates you into doing something for her, then obviously it will lower your rank. And if you are doing it for her out of your own abundance, then it will be read as a high rank. Now, there are a couple more tips on raising your rank. If you observed high ranking people, then you might have noticed that they never make excuses about why they don't want to do something. I don't want to do it is a sufficient explanation to why you don't want to do something. So what you need to understand is that when somebody asks you why you don't want to do something, I don't want to, period, is a sufficient explanation. The next tip is when someone is trying to use shame, guilt, and your conscientiousness to get something out of you, they are trying to lower your rank. Because it doesn't matter how you get forced into doing something you don't want to do. Even if the person made you feel shame or guilt for not doing it and you ended up doing it even though you didn't want to, it lowers your rank. The only decent reason to do something you don't want to do is if it's profitable for you in some way. That's why when somebody's trying to force you to do something you don't want to do, the good reply is, I don't want to. If you want me to do this, then make me want to do it. Another thing is that your confidence during social interactions highly affects your rank. Your posture, your body language, your eye contact, all of that affects your subjective social rank. But that's a very big topic and that's probably the topic for another video. So what do you do now? How do you use this information? First of all, repeat or write down what lowers your rank. You need to be aware of the specific things. If you didn't understand how it works, then rewatch the video, because you will actually need to notice when you are doing these things in your life. And then what you will need to do is mechanically change your reaction to the one that aligns with being a high-ranking individual. If you want to see more videos on similar topics, then like, sub, and turn on notifications. I see you in the next one. And remember, discipline is freedom.